In 2019, the St Vincent de Paul Society celebrates 125 years of helping Queenslanders in need. From the first meeting of churchgoers at St Bridget's Church in Red Hill in 1894 to today, the St Vincent de Paul Society Queensland, you, the Vincentians, have been there. For individuals, for families, for communities, when they have been at their most vulnerable in times of personal crisis and upheaval, in times of war and natural disaster, Vincentians have provided food, clothing, shelter, warmth, financial support, someone to talk to, a shoulder to lean on, a hand up. And you have always provided hope. You have found inspiration in your Catholic faith and in the tradition of all who have come before you to serve the poor in Christ with love, respect, justice, hope and joy, and working to shape a more just and compassionate society. From our beginnings in Paris, led by the Blessed FREDERIC OZANAM, the word spread around the world and our numbers grew. In Australia, the first conference was founded in Victoria in 1854, and in 1894, you, our Queensland Vincentians, began as a group of caring Red Hill parishioners. In the decades to follow, your membership grew, and with it, your reach throughout regional and remote Queensland, in parishes, communities, and our companions' homes. When your companions reached out to you, you were there to offer a helping hand. You were there in the late 19th century, when the Great Flood of 1893 devastated Brisbane. The first Vincentians delivered money, clean clothing, bedding and fresh food to families who had lost everything. You were there in the early 20th century, when the world was at war. You helped the wives and children of the men serving at the front, providing food, offering companionship, prayers and support, and supporting the soldiers and seamen as they returned to life after the war. You were there in the 1920s and 30s, as the Great Depression took hold and families were struggling to make ends meet with little hope of finding employment. You answered their requests for help. You gave the mother who had nothing to feed her baby for breakfast a meal ticket. You found shoes for the little girl who would have otherwise gone barefoot. You delivered food packages to the families who were hungry and living in temporary housing settlements and unemployment camps. In the midst of this tremendous demand for our services, the Society's first administrative centre in Australia was established in Brisbane, OZANAM House, named after our founder. You were there in the 1940s, when the world was at war again. You kept the home fires burning, calling on families with sons or daughters at war in the Pacific or in Europe, offering prayers and support for their safe return, and supporting grieving widows, providing food and shelter for them and their children. You were there in the 1950s, ending the pain of poverty and homelessness for thousands of Queenslanders through your winter appeals for donations of clothing, blankets and funds, setting up shelters where the homeless could get a change of clothes and a roof over their head. You were there, volunteering in St Vincent de Paul centres for charity, which would later become Vinnies shops, sorting donations of furniture and household items so your companions could create a home for themselves and their families. You were there in the 1960s and 1970s, helping individuals and families who had fallen on hard times to get back on their feet, expanding the network of Vinnies shops, selling affordable clothing, and raising vital funds. A beacon of hope for individuals and families who needed a hand up, not just a hand out. And you were there when Brisbane flooded once again in 1974. You were there in the 1980s and 1990s, honouring your commitment to care for our most vulnerable, providing shelter and assistance to women and children escaping domestic violence, supporting men and women to overcome alcohol and drug addiction. You were there, a trusted provider of disability services, supporting Queenslanders of all ages and abilities to enjoy a rich life. Caring for the aged, giving them homes to live with dignity. You are here, at the beginning of a new century. Your name is synonymous with hope in the wake of natural disasters. Cyclones, floods, bushfires, and the relentless drought affecting our rural companions. The people of Queensland can rely on Vincentians to be there, distributing millions of dollars in disaster relief. You are here, challenging yourselves to find new and innovative ways to deliver your services, raise funds to support your work, and raise awareness of social justice issues. And Vincentians have extended a helping hand and a warm welcome to new Australians. In honour of your service, the St Vincent de Paul Society was named a Queensland Great Institution by your state government in 2018. Thanks to you, the Vincentians, who are continuing the good work which started in Brisbane 125 years ago, the St Vincent de Paul Society is as strong today as it has ever been. The more than 9,000 Vincentians who humbly serve Queenslanders, doing good work across 270 locations, including 147 Vinnies shops, united in your commitment to helping the more than 300,000 Queenslanders who turn to you each year. With compassion, respect, integrity, empathy, advocacy and courage. The St Vincent de Paul Society Queensland, 125 years of good work. Thank you for being there.